Dante tells me, do what you're passionate about and try to make money doing it. And that clicked. That just sat with me. Do what you're passionate about and try to make money doing it. Okay. He leaves, and I sat back in this chair in my kitchen. This is where our computer was, and I sat back and was thinking, well, what's different about me? What's like special about me?
What drove you to want to get into local politics? What is it that's pulled you there with what seems like a serious passion?
Yeah, I get this question a lot, and it's a valid question for people to ask. And I'm a doctor of psychology. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology. The particular psychology is called transpersonal psychology. It was uh it was born right here in the Bay Area. I moved here about 12 years ago to be educated in this field, and I'm a young leader striving for practical application of the field of transpersonal psychology in a lot of ways. And Abraham Maslow is one of the founders of this field. So
Yeah,
Abraham Maslow, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the top is self-actualization. So how does an individual thrive? What does that look like? And what would that look like on a community level? And then that kind of is the fourth turn of psychology. So this fourth turn, and I can talk a little bit about the turns and defining the
please
field
do.
and things, but the study of transformation, that's what transpersonal psychology is in a nutshell. And it's this Eastern wisdom meets Western science, really bridging the gap between the two hemispheres of our wisdom in the world that has been created in the world, bridging those gaps. And I, Travis Gray, am a bridge, am a connector. I show up. That's like one of my superpowers is that I show up to things. Yeah, and I'm Gray. Like my podcast platform is Gray Transforms, and I'm just trying to build this bridge between the like with the negative capability. Negative capability is one of my favorite ways to describe a high level intelligence, and that is negative capability is the ability to hold opposing truths simultaneously. There's so much radical swinging left or right, and I'm tired of even seeing it, honestly. But but I love the social game that is involved. I love being shoulder to shoulder, and because I have such an awesome opportunity, just the way that I've emerged into the world is that I can actually be my authentic organic self and to still win the vote and the hearts and minds of people in big tech companies or in the streets right here in the community in here in San Jose. And I feel like other politicians, other like a more traditional politician, feels or may could be guarded inside themselves for maybe not being able to show up that way. To
Yeah.
they have to show up in a very a traditionally political way, and I've even had some people, and maybe some of this wisdom is fair, but I've had some people that messaged me and said, "Hey, you're in the public space now, so be careful what you post on your story." And I was like, "Oh, thanks for the wisdom." But in the background, I'm just laughing at this because what you're really saying is that you're concerned that you would have, somebody would think differently about you, or they would have, a misinterpretation, a misunderstanding. But people that do great things in the world are going to be misunderstood, and it's okay. I really love this like it's a quote, but it's like a spoken word from Theodore Roosevelt called "The Man in the Arena."
I love
And the
that quote.
man in the arena, you know this one?
Yeah, I do. But yeah, go
Yeah,
say
yeah.
it.
So So that's it, is that I'm the man in the arena, and I'm not afraid to be that. I could say all kinds of things about the competition and the other people that I've been shoulder to shoulder with already, all these relationships that have been built, but I don't know how much they know that I'm different in this space. I'm different, and it's good, and it's gonna be great because there's gonna be a lot of opportunity to share what for them to learn from things that I can provide. I will learn a lot along this journey. I've already learned in I got my paperwork February 11th. So I've already
Mhm.
learned a lot. I continue to learn a lot, and and I'll be able to teach a lot and cultivate culture that is sustainable and supportive and thriving right here in San Jose. San Jose is the 12th largest city metro area and the Bay Area is the largest metro area, but 12th biggest city in America. So
Wow.
my backstory, like where I came from to 12 years later, candidating for a council seat at the 12th biggest 12th biggest city in the world is insane. It's really, it blows my mind.
Well, what is your backstory then? So for anyone that's listening that hasn't come across you before, and what is your backstory from 12 years ago that makes this? I mean, you've just got amazing energy. You're really excited about what's coming up, and you can feel that. I can feel that through the screen, let alone like
Yeah,
in your presence. But yeah, who were you 12 years ago
yeah.
that's so
Well,
different?
thank you for that question. If it's okay, I'm gonna wipe my nose and I'm gonna finish this drink. Um, cool.
Cool.
Are you
So
listening to music, or are you just dancing to
I'm just dancing.
the
It's just what
rhythm
I
of
do.
life? I
Yeah,
love that. I love
option
that.
two.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'm often caught in the street dancing with or without music.
I feel
You
yeah.
you can catch me skipping downtown. You can catch me doing some wild stuff. So I love that. So you just asked about my backstory, and my
Yeah, yeah. So
backstory. Yep.
I was going to say, yeah. So what is the huge difference in you
Yeah.
previously that makes this moment for you so like unreal and
Yeah.
unthought of until now?
Right. So I've said before in past years, I've said before that I've turned over a new leaf, but I'm still the same tree.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's new seasons. I've turned over new leaves. I've grown. My branches have grown. All of these things, but I'm still the same tree. I my backstory is that I'm originally from Iowa. I'm from Council Bluffs, Iowa. I usually say Omaha, Nebraska, because that's the biggest major city that people would recognize here in the United States. And it is smack dab in the center of America. It could not be any more central to America, and it's rural. It's like the surrounding area, rather. Not really where I'm from. It's not as rural, but the surrounding area is cornfields and cattle and just a lot of farmland.
Yeah,
I was born and raised across the street from a lake. But it seems like odd to even to say that about Iowa. That it doesn't seem like that matches what Iowa is in this like farmy kind of state. But I grew up across the street from a lake, and not on the like the good. There's like a good side of the lake, and there's like
of
yeah,
course.
but my mother was a single mother for most of my life, and I did have a step family at one time. That's kind of what got us into that lake area. But and their last name was Woods. So in my like elementary years, we did a lot of like hunting and fishing, and I really got to get my hands in the dirt with all of those kinds of things, camping and stuff like that. And then there was a divorce, but my mother, she's deaf. My first language is
Okay.
American Sign Language. My
Oh wow.
grandmother and grandfather are deaf too, And my father passed away when he was only 25 years old. So at 25 years old, I'm older than my father ever was in life.
Wow.
Or
That
something
that's a
weird.
pretty heavy kind of a thing to sit on.
Yeah, when I first turned 26, when I turned 26, I was like, wow, I've now like, I beat my father in life
Yeah.
or in some way. That's like it was very strange to think about to sit with and yeah, some thoughts about that too. That's like an early life lost is I was only 16 months old when that happened, and I don't have any real memory of my father. So, but I've always had this feeling of like I'm living for two people. I'm living for myself and I'm living for like the lost potential that my father wasn't able to live out in his life. But then my mother is deaf. He was a hearing man too. So like even
Okay.
that like it's a cool romanticism that they were even able to meet and just there's a cool story that of how they met. But my mother uh she lives in a different world in a way. I'm a hearing person, but
Hmm.
I'm what's called a coda. This is an identity that I've leaned into in recent years for the first time. I've known about it a little bit on the edges, but I didn't really know enough about it. And I went to a coda conference a couple of years ago, and that really blew my mind as well. That was really affirming and life changing in different ways, and whole other conversations as well. But my mother, uh, she is deaf and she is working tooth and nail to try to keep a roof over our heads. Okay,
Yeah.
so she doesn't have time to go to sporting events and make sure I'm doing my homework and making sure that I'm not in doing trouble and stuff. So I wasn't doing my homework. I was in trouble, and I was going to school. I'm going to high school and figuring that out in life as we all do in our teenage years and things. And I got in a lot of trouble. I went to I was on probation. I went to jail. I had an ankle bracelet for house arrest in my senior year. I wasn't able to wrestle because of this ankle bracelet that they wouldn't take off. So many moments like that what transpired was that there was a man, he was like a probation officer and tracker. He came to my house and I needed a piece of advice. I knew this. I needed masculine advice. I never had like a coach that took me under his wing that I really wanted. I was a wrestler in Iowa. I would see these other like these wrestling fathers that would be on the side of the mat coaching on their son, and like I longed for that sort of experience, and I couldn't find it in a teacher, in a coach. I just couldn't find it
Just never
anywhere.
quite met at the right level.
Yeah, it just never, yeah, it never, I don't know if I wasn't asking for it enough, but I don't think I was really asking for it. I was just wanting it to sort of happen, and maybe I should have asked more. I don't know. Anyway, everything happened exactly how it's meant to in order for me to be who I am today, and that's just a good piece of wisdom for everybody. Full acceptance of your life in this moment as you are today. All of that made you who you are. Be happy with who you are. And so my mother, her being deaf allowed me to get away with a lot of things. Tracker Dante, he came to the house while I was on a high school, what are you gonna do for the rest of your life kind of interest profile thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I knew I needed masculine advice. And so when he came in and I asked him, do you have any advice for me? And I recognized that there wasn't really maybe the programs in Council Bluffs, Iowa didn't have like a mentor program or something like that. They weren't really treating me as somebody that they wanted to see reformed or cultivate or blossom, they weren't treating me this way. It was just I was just another, another piece, another person thrown into this broken
System.
justice system. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I ask Dante for this piece of advice. Dante tells me, do what you're passionate about and try to make money doing it. And that clicked. That just sat with me. Do what you're passionate about and try to make money doing it. Okay. He leaves, and I sat back in this chair in my kitchen. This is where our computer was. And I sat back I was thinking, well, what's different about me? What's like special about me? I was never like first place in any of the sporting events. I loved athleticism. I loved exercise, but I had asthma, allergies. I'm not the. I was still growing into my body. I was a late bloomer in a lot of ways, from a physicality point of view, and I was just sitting back and I would be a smart person in class, but I wouldn't do my homework, and so that did do a lot that hit a lot of pain points in terms of getting the work done and grades and things like that. So I was getting by, but I would be so active and engaged in class, so engaged. I'm first person raising my hand, first person to read out loud, first person to be asking questions and things, and I would still be. I remember this girl, Alexis Gergerich. My name is Travis Gray, and she's Alexis Gergerich. And Alexis Gergerich, she was the number one person in our graduating class. She was the
Hmm.
like she was the smartest person of our graduating class, and we would sit near each other all the time because of it goes by last name, and Gergerich and
Okay.
Gray is super close. So I'd be like right before her, she'd be right after me. But grade wise and intelligence, she's number one in the class.
Hmm.
But I would always be sort of a natural challenge for her. And I wasn't even second in class. I was just somewhere in a random number in terms of my high school graduating class. And that was a thought to me. So I'm like, I am intelligent. I have something here, but like, what's special about me? Yeah, kind of that idea that there's something about everybody. Everybody has their one special talent or something like that. I'm
At
like,
least.
at least. And I sat back, I think, what is that for me? And an American Sign Language, my first language, that's like the most unique thing to me at that point in my life. It's like across all of the students in my high school in any grade, I know sign language. This is my first language. I'm a child of a deaf adult. My high school was across the street from the deaf school that my mother went to,
Went to.
that my grandmother
Okay.
went to, that my grandfather went to. So it's right across the street from Iowa School for the Deaf, and and I'm sitting there. Sign language, and it languages. Do you speak any other languages?
I'm attempting to learn Portuguese, but
Oh,
it's an interesting journey learning.
I
I'm
could see
still
you
very
in
sketchy.
Brazil. I could see you in Brazil rocking Portuguese for sure.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm in Brazil at the moment, but my Portuguese isn't rocking so much. But
Okay, you're still
time will
working
get
on
me there.
it. Yeah. So, yeah, like so you're finding out that as you learn more of this language, as you become more proficient, it starts to become a part of you. The culture embedded in the language starts to become a part of you. It starts to
Hmm.
shape your mind in particular ways. Well, American Sign Language is this gesticulation. It's this like physical 90% of our communication, they say, is body language.
Yes.
80, 90%. It's not the words, it's sometimes it's the tone, but really it's this expression that comes out of you as you say the words. And we are unconsciously processing those things. That's not always so conscious that we're thinking about, oh, well, what does that body language mean? And really having to slow it down. We're just having conversation and it's just invited in this unconscious impression sort of way. And
We
so this
almost
is my
intuit it.
first language. Sorry.
I was just saying, we almost intuit it. We just, it
Yeah,
happens
we
so
intuit it
quick
for
that
sure.
it's just there. It's just this feeling we have about it.
Yeah, no, it's so right. We for sure intuit it. And then this language is how my is what my brain was built on. I learned English
Ah,
as well. I learned English mostly through the radio and television. I had
okay.
an aunt that I was in English as a second language early on. I got out of that right away, but that was mostly for in my area. That was mostly for Spanish speaking first kids. So
Hmm.
ESL, English as a second language classes for English or for Spanish speaking kids. But I was also in that class to enunciate. My enunciation of words wasn't coming through early on, so I was uh, still a little behind, a little struggling with that, but I
W-
figured that out. And
Was
then
that an
my
affect? Sorry to, I'm
yeah, go
just
ahead, no
curious. Was
problem.
that an affect of having your deaf mum as your main source of learning language, or how? Like,
Yeah,
because I know
it,
when deaf people speak, that the tonality and the enunciation can be a little bit tricky.
that's a question I haven't been asked before, and I think that that's a good one. Yeah, I couldn't tell you for sure because I'm 5 years old or whatever,
Yeah,
but yeah, I could imagine that some of the ways that I'm saying words is picked up the by the ways that my mom is attempting to verbalize words, unbeknownst to her at times. But my mom's really good at being careful about not using her voice. Like that's like some part of her inner narrative. She'll like my grandmother, my grandpa's pretty quiet too, but my grandmother pun not intended. As a deaf man, of course he's quiet, but my grandmother she will kind of verbalize sort of randomly, and I catch these times of my mom like trying to quiet her or whatever, but even though she can't hear it, so um, but uh, but I could see that like kind of that child rearing, and I am raised with some of those tones, some of those verbalizations, and maybe I'm picking that up as language. I'm thinking that
yeah,
that's language, but but yeah, so that could be part of it, but a lot of it was, I'm just barely catching word, like I'm just catching words from music, and you can't always hear every single lyric, no matter
even
what the
today,
music is.
half the
I
time
don't
when
know
I hear
every
music,
single
I'm like,
lyric for
oh, that
some of
must
them.
be saying that, and then I look at the lyrics and I'm like, I wasn't even close. Like,
Right, right,
it
yeah,
just hits me
right,
different.
and then I became a big fan of hip hop music and rap music, and you don't know what most of those words they're saying. Most of the words you have no idea what is being said, and that was just because I'm listening to like the popular radio station as my mom drops me off at school,
Yeah,
or my first like I had real CD players, so it's funny that what a privilege it is to aging is such a privilege. My birthday was just a few days ago, and I'm 34 now, and I get to look at this like younger generation and be like, I had a CD player. I was trying to make sure that it didn't skip on the school bus bumps, like a school bus speed bump. Like I had to hold my CD player straight so that I could hear like Eminem.
Oh,
And
I go
Eminem
back
had some
further.
wild songs. Like Eminem had some wildly
Oh
violent
yeah.
lyrics and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just all of that. It was just sign language had shaped my mind in a certain way, and I was like, okay, well, I'm interested in like why am I in this position right now? I was never violent. I was never hurting anybody. I was always honest. Um, I didn't I had friends that skipped school, and for some reason I never wanted to skip school. That didn't seem like something that I'm interested in. But I did like hang out with my friends all of the time outside of school,
Yeah.
and I did fail to do my homework at times, and things like that because I was getting raised by my peer group in a way as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
We're nurtured by all kinds of elements in our environment as we are raised. And then we are all distinct and not separate. But my particular distinction, unique profile was in such a way that I'm being raised by I'm being raised by other kids that are my same age. So I'm gonna make mistakes
Sort of
clearly.
like Lord of the Flies sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So then I sat back and I was like, it's kind of the psychology of this system that has put me in that place. And I think that's pretty intelligent thinking at 17 years old. And so
It's
I sat back and thought of that and then, okay, I want to do psychology. And so I decided psychology at that point. And then after community college, I narrowed my focus and I discovered transpersonal psychology, moved to the Bay Area. There's a whole Bay Area move story as well. But then I moved to the Bay Area. I was like, if I could make it here, I can make it anywhere. Transpersonal psychology, and then that's what I did. I found from that was 17, but I didn't move to the Bay Area until 21. So I saw myself in a repetition compulsion. I took like a psychology 101 course in community college, and I realized there was something said about that course. They were saying that the psychology 101 course is kind of the most difficult of psychology courses because it is a bunch of different branches of psychology. You're looking at all psychology through so many different lenses, and it's hard to keep that organized and on track. But you're getting like a taste of all of these things. That's the psychology 101.
yeah.
And in some ways it was they were, they would speak about it as the hardest class in psychology in a way. Because others are more focused and that's more entertaining and engaging and things like that. And so I saw myself in this repetition compulsion, and that concept is a Freudian idea, is a Sigmund Freud idea. So then this repetition compulsion, I was in jail, out of jail, doing good, hanging out with the same people that don't have my best interests, and then back in
Back in
jail,
jail.
and this cycle would happen. And I woke up to the cycle that I was in, and I said,
Yeah.
if I don't make a huge gravitational shift, then I'm going to be in and out of jail for the rest of my life or dead.
Was
It
there a
was clear.
defining moment that
Yeah,
caused
it was a
that?
defining moment. Statistically, I'm looking at like, if now I'm looking at statistically, so, if your father passes away early in life, you're probably in the range of 60% likely to not survive past him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my father passed away at 25. That could have been my story easily. And so I realized that I needed this big gravitational pull, and I needed, if I was going to be successful in psychology, you really need to narrow your focus. And so then I picked, a branch that was kind of, which is funny because transpersonal psychology is sort of a huge umbrella. It's kind of the opposite of narrowing your focus, and it was a narrowing of my focus. But I went with transpersonal psychology, moved to the Bay Area formerly the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, now Sophia University. The first year I was here, it was the first year it was Sophia University. And I've been a leader in this academic community for 13 years. I teach at that university now. I teach in a business program the last 5 years, and it's all visa students. I have an amazingly diverse student body in my classes.
Mm-hmm.
9 countries can be represented at any one time. Some Brazilian, things like that. So I saw that the system needed changed, and so how do I do that? And when I was sitting back at 17, I recognized that that has to be done from the inside. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think we can have this great big revolution I mean, at least not without casualty, because if you broke down there's a lot of criticism, right? Valid criticism about the United States government these days. And if you totally revolutionize, like it all had to collapse, lots of people die as a result of that.
Oh, revolutions are
Lots of
nasty for a
life is
reason.
lost. And,
Yeah.
and not just in America. Lots of life around the world is going to be impacted extremely by if the United States government were say to break down. So you just look at the flaws, you look at the problems and things like that, and you have to try your best to do it from the inside. I think it was Abraham Lincoln. It could have been another president. It probably was another president. Maybe Thomas Jefferson. One man can change the world, and everyone should try. And so
Mm.
I early on in my life, I was inspired to be a change maker, to be a bridge builder, and an expert in transformation. That's what I've become as a transpersonal psychologist.
Yeah. There's so many places to go here. So I'm enjoying where this is going to go. Transpersonal psychology. You mentioned the Maslow hierarchy of needs, but the general idea of it would be it's about a person transforming themselves. Like it's if I'm understanding it correctly, like the normal way of thinking about that is it's about somebody's personal journey through their own mind, etc.
Yep, that
How
that
do
that
you
is
apply
true.
how do you apply that on a community basis? Because it feels like you're trying to bring that philosophy, add that way of thinking into politics,
Yeah.
which is beautiful, different, and very much needed.
hmm
Um, how do you apply that on a community scale
Yeah.
in your
Well,
mind?
you do it in many ways, and so the microcosm reflects the macrocosm.
Mm,
So I have transformed hundreds of lives in clinical practice as a counselor and through the lens of transpersonal psychology, individuals, couples, families, things like this over my clinical practice. And transpersonal psychology is the study of cultivating whole human transformation, the assets of the whole person, a holistic person, somebody that is whole, the assets of that, the investments of that is body, mind, and soul. So there's a physical component, a somatic component. I also think of business as a physical component. I think of a
okay.
lot of the public policy issues as the physical component. Fiscal responsibility, that is a physical component. So the monetary aspects of moving resources through this real tangible world, that is
Hmm.
physical. The
Yes.
mental component is this intellectual, is the psychological, it's the narrative we tell ourselves, the story that we have in our heads. It is the hero's journey, the Joseph Campbell hero's journey
Hmm.
concepts, things like this. So there's a mental part of it, a psychological part of it. Psychotherapeutic practice has many interventions. I have a variety of tools in my tool belt. It could be CBT, some like more standard interventions, CBT, DBT, EMDR. It could also be other interventions that are not so traditional, not so conventional, and that could be through an orientation called psychosynthesis. It could be through heuristics, Gestalt, things like this. So Gestalt is actually what I meant instead of heuristics. But so the many tools in that psychological component to effectively transform that. And then the soul is where a lot of business-minded people get a little tripped up on that word, soul or spirit, or or maybe some like non-religious people or things like that. I don't con I Religion by definition is just means a set of practices that you are, consistent with. So in that by that definition, I am a religious person. I want to be consistent and operating in my integrity and continuing to be in my, good habits and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm not conventionally religious. I don't subscribe to ideology and dogma. I instead am interested in the wisdom through all spiritual traditions. I'm
Yeah.
interested in the perennial philosophy of a variety of spiritual traditions, and that's the flavor of what transpersonal psychology brings. Some people in the field can be very specific religious, and that's fine too. But there is this sense of let's bring all of the wisdom traditions together and form something new. Let something new birth out of that. Like these are the roots that are feeding the seed to grow into transpersonal psychology or what have you. And so when I speak about soul to business people, my business students for the last 5 years, I always I always position soul as the inner innovator. So the inner piece of you that is capable of innovation and new ideas and these things are really valuable and important, especially I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley, San Jose, California. I'm in the heart of
Yeah.
Silicon Valley. This is Apple, Google, AMD, Adobe. All of these big
Big
tech
hitters.
companies are here in this Bay Area, and innovation is the number one thing that these companies want, need, all of that. It's innovation. And so the soul component of that is the inner innovator. That's what I would say to
Yeah.
somebody that's not so spiritual. So it's what you are potentially capable of. And so transpersonal psychology, if you took the etymology of those words, psychology is the study of the psyche, the soul. Now psyche over time in psychology and more conventional approaches to psychology, behaviorism, that kind of thing, has changed, and not just behaviorism. Psychoanalytic is this way too, but it just the word of psyche has changed over time in the ways use it today. We're thinking more of like personality, ego. So
Mm.
then it becomes a study of ego in the more conventional approaches to psychology. But
Yes.
truly the ideology is the study of the soul. So it's the study of that highest potential of what you could be, the actualized person, in that's self-actualizing people is like Maslowian terms. And
Mm-hmm.
then Carl Jung would say individuation. I love Carl Rogers. He was a humanistic psychologist. He would call it the fully functioning person.
Mm-hmm.
These kinds of ideas, that is the soul. That's the study of the soul. And then transpersonal is to traverse or move beyond the personal. And the personal is the ego. The personal is the persona.
Yes.
The personal is the mask that we wear, and how do we get underneath that, and how do we create a dynamic where the soul is transforming the ego. So that's what transpersonal psychology is. It's the study of the soul transforming the ego.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's by definition, but your question is how to apply this to community
Yeah.
and to public policy and many ideas. But what I see in a big way is in a big way that does not cost a lot of money. There is a lot of missed opportunity to cultivate culture here in San Jose because that's where I'm focused right now. But there is a lot of missed opportunity to cultivate culture all
I
over the
agree.
world,
But
and also all over the United States of America. We have the Super Bowl, we have all of those all those commercials, all those Super Bowl commercials, and the whole world is watching that Super Bowl show, even people that don't watch football. That is an extreme opportunity to cultivate culture. And for some reason, only people with $10 million are going to have the opportunity to place a 30-second message there.
yeah,
But governance and like if we want the best for our people, we have to take advantage of those kinds of opportunities. Now, the Super Bowl this past year, I'm not a big football. I don't watch a lot of football. I mostly watch mixed martial arts. Mostly watch
hmm
combat sports. But the Super Bowl was here in the Bay Area. So San Jose had a lot of community activation that was just come and go. It actualized nothing.
yeah,
Nothing. No, nobody walked away from that like, man, my life is a little better. It
it
just
was
didn't
just a
happen.
distraction.
It generated about a $500 million for the Bay Area so that they could take care of their debts, their deficits, so they it could help support some of those deficits, and that's great. We do need that.
Yeah,
We do need to do those things. But there is a lot of inexpensive opportunity lost for cultivating culture. And it could be as simple as this in San Jose. It could be as simple as sustainable San Jose on a sign with a QR code that goes to a single web page that mentions the values of San Jose, the values that we're trying to cultivate. And sustainable San Jose, it just means recycle. It just means pick up after yourself. There
basic
were some
things.
examples of that for your listeners, it might not be as relevant, but you have these big concerts, these big experiences, and then people are taking videos of the aftermath, and it's trashed. And then
Yeah,
that sends a message. It sends a message internally and externally. Internally, it sends a message of, oh, we don't need to care about our city.
somebody else
And
will
it
clean
and
it
it
up.
also externally sends a message of, oh, they don't care about their city.
Yeah,
And then it's like, oh, somebody's gonna clean up after us.
yeah.
Oh, well, great. That costs money.
Start
Now,
shedding of
saving the
responsibility.
money for that, maybe it supports like the organizers of the event, but then they are able to put more money into more events or more opportunity costs for the community. So everything leans on another thing. So interconnected sensibility, empathic awareness, interconnected sensibility, and collaborative responsibility. That's going to cultivate our community to be shaped in the best way possible. And so that's just the attitude. That's just the mental framework for how to approach all of these different public policies. There are so many greenlit initiatives here in San Jose, and the microcosm reflects the macrocosm, and vice versa. And so
Yes.
anything that's happening here is happening in Portugal, it's happening in Brazil, it's happening in Europe, it's happening in Australia, it's happening all over the world in all kinds of ways everywhere. And that is that these initiatives, people work really hard to get through the paperwork to get their initiative up to the council table. So we want to make that a little bit easier for people as well.
Sounds
And
good.
yeah, and teach them how to do that. Teach them why we need you to go through this process to legitimize your initiative. But when it gets up to the table, the council, for the public eye for good reason, has to green light things. So they are just green lighting prematurely. They're green lighting everything that hits the desk. And then they have these like $100,000 investment into the local business improvement districts and things. that are going to take 100 years to get the money back. $130,000, 1% a year. It's going to take 100 years to get that money back.
And
That's not
not
a good
everything's
deal.
about. It's not. Not everything has to be about money. I mean, there's you got to be overall aware. Sometimes
You have to be
things
holistic.
you have to be holistic. Sometimes you can spend money and not expect a return directly on whatever it is, if
Absolutely.
it serves a greater purpose beyond that. But yeah, if
Absolutely.
there's lots and lots of things that are just there's no return, there's no. It's crazy.
Right. I mean, it's a business development district. So you're going to get are going to get that money back a lot less than 100 years. But just but you're because you're going to get it back through other kinds of taxes that are already going to be operating in that area when people actually do business.
Hmm.
That's gonna cover that. But just that base, that first 130, there is no right there's no right logic that I should be giving you $20 and it takes me 20 years to get that $20 back. Yeah. There's no right logic for that. If we
No.
need the money back. The and I'll speak a little bit about the tax laws too, but they did another thing where there was like they're building units. They need more units. So they're building housing units for like old folks mostly that this particular uh, project that's in my mind is for. And that's great. We need those units. We need to take care of the old folks. And I don't know what is driving the extreme costs of building the buildings and things, but it costs the city $10 million. It costs the county also $10 million. It costs another a couple of groups other money as well. Well, just that $10 million that the city gives, just that $10 million, if you crunch the numbers, will take 50 years to make back from that property from the way that the numbers run. That's more than a traditional mortgage. A
Yeah.
traditional mortgage in the United States is 30 years, a 30-year mortgage. So
Hmm.
if I'm now some people won't live to see where their tax dollars went.
No.
And then there's a $55 million deficit. You think I can't find 60 of those? That was just two of them, two simple ones. You think I can't find
Yeah.
60 of them? And so it's just this premature green lighting. So I want to be like a little more mindful and holistic. And um, I also have this radical idea
I
that,
love those.
yeah, I love radical ideas. I have a radical idea that the ethos of government is to work for the people.
Wait, when that seems that's
It's pretty
such a
radical.
unique take. I've never
Yeah.
thought that that's how that could work. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I think more
Right. Yeah.
people should
Yeah.
hear this message. This sounds fascinating.
I'll probably copyright it. I'll probably, I'll probably secure the intellectual rights on that one. But yes, I believe that the ethos of government is to work for the people. So when did we lose the aspiration for free healthcare? When did that seem like something that we don't want to try for? I don't know if we can make that happen. But isn't that worth striving for? Isn't that worth striving
Absolutely.
towards? Free education. Isn't that worth striving for? Uh, 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 an electric grid, an energy grid that pays for itself, or that pays for other things that the people we can generate. Isn't that worth aspiring towards? It's like people have lost, like the public policy and governance has like lost the value of aspiring towards even those things. It's like that if you're the richest man in the world, you have to see that that is a valuable, that's valuable. A net zero cost energy to your organization, your company. That's great. The nation is an organization. You as an individual, you're an organization. So again,
Yes.
microcosm, macro. Um, I. I want to see the ethos of government, the destiny of government, I think is is to create other streams of income that fund itself, fund its operations. Maybe first, if you could if you could, the United States of America is going on its 250th anniversary.
Hmm.
250 years of organized government with the technology that we have today, the resources that we have today, and we don't have some of these things. That is absolutely insane. That's a broken system. That is bad systems being formed every single day. Every
It's
single
also
week, public policy is not formed with those kinds of aspirations involved. And that's not about being Democrat or Republican. That's not about being against anybody. That's about like, can we do this together? Can we work
t-
together? And so then, if and as a business person, as an entrepreneur and things like that, we know that one stream of income is too close to zero streams of income, right?
yes,
The
it's
only
dangerous.
stream of income for governance is taxes. It's one
That,
stream of income.
yeah.
It's taxes. It's many different kinds of taxes, many different ways that the tax landscape is
Mm.
spread out, and that's spreading the people's resources very thin to have all
Yes.
of those taxes. So it's spreading now. So now you're taking a lot off of my plate as well as a citizen, and so what other streams of income could be created with the organization of this money that you are borrowing from the people? And then there's a disconnect when the community, when citizens go up to the council, they ask, oh, can I have some of they don't know that they're under the impression that they're asking this big city council for their money. Hey, can we, but you're asking for your own money back. You're
Yeah.
really, what you're saying is, hey, I have this initiative, I have this business idea, I have this group of humans that I want to take care of, and this is how I believe the plan can work. And so I need some of the tax dollars that we as a community pooled together and is under your organization. I need some of that back so that I can get this project done, because I know that you have a lot on your plate too. I know that you, as the public policy makers, as the governance governing body, I know that you have a lot of work to do. So I just need some of that money back. I'm gonna go do this. It's still gonna generate tax money back to you, and all that's good. And you're gonna help me also, because you're gonna help be you're the leaders and representatives of the community, so, elected officials. So you're going to help me ensure that this involves interconnected sensibility, collaborative responsibility, that this is good for not just me, but the entire community. You're going to make sure that I am not, by mistake, spending dollars that are going to go into a sinkhole.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, all of that you said, it comes down to the culture. So the systems are one thing, and they can be tweaked to make things easier, less red tape, things running smoother, all that sort of stuff. And yet we can expand. I mean, I don't know about US, but I know in Australia, like our government used to own a lot of the public services, so they would get income from the public services as well. They
Yeah.
sold all those off, so now they're all private. They don't have those income streams anymore. So you're in a lot of ways you're thinking, how can I go back to a system that used to exist however many years ago?
Yeah.
But the heart of the matter for me is the culture of the ruling class, but also the culture of the people that are willing to accept what's happened for so long.
Yeah.
It's not just them us, as you said, as below so above kind of a thing. And why is it that it's acceptable that governments don't serve the people that elect them? Why is it that people keep electing representatives who don't represent them?
Yeah.
And to me, that's the only way to truly change. You need the other stuff as well. You need all of those things that make systems simpler. But the heart and soul of it is the culture that we're living in. And I can speak from a Western aligned point of view, Australia. The culture is being individualized so much, and we're all in fear and panic all of the time, that we don't have camaraderie for our fellow people. And we've lost that cultural connection of where we're going to lift each other up to be better as a group. And now it's a culture of, I need to get mine before somebody else gets it. It's this game theory kind of a world that we're living in. And there's no good end to it. Somebody will win. But in that kind of environment, you have millions more losers than winners. And to me, that's the heart of what needs to change in Western culture that I see, is teaching kids how to use their own minds, how to understand their own bodies, how to interact with each other with grace. Like, we don't have to agree, but we have to be able to listen to a different point of view and assess and understand, and maybe go, oh, maybe there's a point in between, or no, I still think my way's right, or shit, your way's actually a whole lot better. But have that personal humility to say, I'm not the perfect one all the time. I don't have to be right all the time. And I want to help my fellow humans to all be better. To me, that is, these other things are going to help that, but there's got to be something that changes in the base of culture to change where this is going.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. What you said about, I mean, all of that really touches my heart, honestly. Like, when did we, when did we start not relating to other people as people? These are humans. You know, some people are calling for the deaths of elected officials. It's like, dude, this is
it's
a
crazy.
human being. You don't want what would you say if somebody's wishing death on you? You know, two wrongs don't make a right, or that kind of thing. But you know, when did we start not treating other humans as humans? I'm not sure. It really hurts my heart there. Another piece of what you said in the beginning reminded me of this ethical responsibility to the fiscal policy. So like it's like a fiscal responsibility. So taxation is theft. This is how this is what America was built on, is that taxation is theft. That's
Yes,
the Boston
that's
Tea Party. It
exactly.
was built on that. The Declaration of Independence is one thing, and the Constitution is one thing, but taxation is theft is exactly what America's built on. And then we have incredible taxes. We like incredible taxes all over the place. There's like it'll get you hot under the neck if you just start reading this alphabetical order of taxes. Even after you're dead, you're still getting taxed. Famously, there's this poem, but it's like tax that man until he's good and dead. Tax the soil on which he's laid. Tax the sod on which he's laid, something like that. But it's yeah. So taxation is theft, but it's only theft if it is not distributed with ethical responsibility. They
Yeah.
have a responsibility to be organized in the pooling of those resources, not in a hierarchical model, in a collective model. Okay, we're pooling the resources, and then we are going to we're going to attack, or we're going to address the initiatives that are most pertinent to the local community. The essential needs. We're gonna fix the essential needs. maybe first, and then we're gonna get to some desired, uh, nice things, you know. But we have to
Yeah,
treat the nice things like nice things. This is why people can't have nice things, you know. We have to make sure that we have, again, you're right, a cultivated culture to do that. When did we start? You know, you know, people just like popularity, and so they'll root for a candidate that is just kind of popular. I think that there's something about me that can strike that popular function, but I'm not in it. I'm just myself, and so like that energy and stuff that comes out from me, I'm very self-aware, and so it's just I know that my energy can be very palatable and encouraging and attractive to people, to humans. And so I'll be able to have some of that, but I'm not in it for that. But that is what people are voting for only. And so then it's like, well, we need we need representatives that can do the whole thing, that can fit the whole picture,
yeah,
and will maintain that ethical responsibility to, you know, the taxes, the
yes,
fiscal responsibility.
yeah. And well, that's a multi-layered question, like in terms of how do you attract the right people to do that? And I mean, one part of it for me, from the outside looking into the US, is take money out of politics for God's sake. So have a pool of I don't know exactly how you'd arrange it, but like have a pool of like money from the society that goes towards a distribution in whatever way is fair and equitable to the people that are running in that whatever election it is. Don't have any money coming from outside.
Yeah.
Just a dividend of whatever taxes have been drawn, and that goes into an election fund, and that election fund gets split up however. Because money changes who gets access, money changes who gets somebody's ear, and how things
Mhm.
are. I don't think you can have fair representation when you've got that as a core part of a system.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell you change it. That's beyond me. I'm
Well,
good
you
at
got to be
finding
really
problems.
grassroots. You got to be really
Yeah.
grassroots going in. And I'm very grassroots. My campaign manager, she's awesome. She's God sent. I just went to this freedom of speech, kind of creativity workshop here. I thought I wasn't gonna go that night. I was like, I wanted to go. I put it on my calendar. I thought I wasn't gonna go that night. I was like, I gotta stay home. I got work to do. I got classes to teach and things to grade, and but man, this could be a good break, and I know there will be people there from the local community. It's a city sponsored, so I can't go canvassing. I can't go like trying to sell my, this is my position. I can share like this is what I'm doing, but I can't go collect nomination signatures or
Yeah.
something like that. And so I went there, and I was just there to be myself. And I decided, oh, I'm gonna write a little poem about what I think about freedom of speech. I'm gonna write a little poem and make it a little creative or something. I never even wrote the poem. I didn't have time because I start to get into these conversations with people, and it's very natural to me, and we're in conversation. Well, that's how I met my campaign manager, and she's amazing, and she really affirms me, and like right now she's only known me for a week or two, and she is all aboard, and really incredible. And she's a nurse. She was like a nurse in the pandemic and these things, but just a way to describe her is that she has this page on Instagram that is fund healthcare, not billionaires.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I love it.
I like that. I agree with that. Our tax dollars should fund our healthcare, not billionaires. I agree with that. I'm not mad at a billionaire also. I'm not mad at somebody that made a great deal of wealth. now how they made that wealth, if they made it on the backs of people, and now we're getting into tricky territory. Now where's the ethics in that? But
Yes.
if they made money legitimately and they made a wealth, a fortune, that's fine. But don't give them more through our tax dollars. So,
Yes.
do your thing, but like actually, I want as a bridge builder, as a connector, I want to ensure that people know, and that what I want to do is open up those conversations with those people. We can have conversations with those billionaire tech CEOs or millionaire tech CEOs. It's fine. They're humans.
Yep.
Treat them like humans. And maybe you get this feeling like, oh, well, they don't treat us like humans. That doesn't change that doesn't change your values. It shouldn't.
But
It shouldn't change
no.
your values on how you treat other human beings. So treat them as humans, and have a conversation, open up a conversation. Again, taxation is theft. So if you just oh, billionaires need to be taxed all this money. I don't disagree necessarily with that. And they probably don't either. They probably know that there's like some level of taxes that I think oddly enough, a lot of billionaires pay a lot in taxes. But some are doing some sleazy stuff, and they're getting out of their taxes and stuff like that. So that's a problem too. Because we all
Uh,
have a responsibility to the community, to each other. But can we open up these conversations and recognize that, oh, this big company is situated in this city. Don't you want the city to be beautiful? Don't you want the city that you work in to be well running, well functioning, to be living in a culture that was cultivated well, that we're thinking of others, that we have good values, we have empathy for each other, that we're that if you are in trouble, if you get hurt on the street, like billionaire, millionaire, whatever, you get hurt on the street, that somebody on the street will come help you, like even though they don't make as much as you do. Don't you want to have that feeling, that air when you walk through the city? Yeah. And so, well, so then it opens up the philanthropy. Let them make the decision on how much. We can negotiate that too. Oh, it would be really great if you gave this amount of money. But let it be a relationship, and a human endeavor, connecting with each other, instead of we have to raise their taxes 60%. And it doesn't sit with me well to just force somebody. But if you encourage them, they'll probably give more than the taxes would give anyway.
yeah, I think that for me,
Because
there's a few
as a
things on
billionaire,
that.
what are you doing with your money? Yeah, go ahead.
I was, yeah, for a lot of people that have a lot of wealth, they look at the way governments
Yeah.
spend their money and they're appalled. So they will do what they can to not
Right.
pay taxes where they don't think it's worthy. That makes perfect sense to me. Plus, there's that human, I think we could probably all look
Ethical
to a part of it in
responsibility.
ourselves. If we have something, we don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to give it away. So if we've got a lot, if we know it's going to a good cause, but if we don't think it's going to a good cause, are you going to want to give it away? No, of course you're not. You're going to want to find a way to keep it and put it towards what you think is a better cause. I can't remember my
Right.
other points now. That happens to my brain sometimes. Um,
That's okay. But and
but
if they you're so right. And if they mistrust, like, the job is actually going to get done. There's in California, there's been this high speed rail that's supposed to be going through California for years. Billions of dollars spent on this thing, and not a single track has been laid. But as soon as the governor elections come up, oh, we're starting the train next week. New tracks are going to be laid next week. it comes next week. The tracks still aren't laid, but you have created some popular news article that is enhancing your election potential.
Then shouldn't there? I mean, just my gut reaction to hearing that. I know a little bit about that story, but not a lot. Is if
Yeah,
you've got politicians that serve up promises and they don't follow through within a certain timeline, they should just be kicked out. They're not doing their job.
they
They're
should be
not.
held
They're not
accountable.
whole. Yeah, there's no account, and that's part of the culture that I'm talking about. Like the culture underneath it all is that there's an
Yeah,
acceptance that the system's broken and we can't do anything about it, but we can if we
yeah,
come together. If we work as a community, these things can
yeah.
change.
And people
I,
have to be on the inside to do those things.
or at
So,
least understand how
so
it
look at that.
works.
Like, some people look at that and they're like, "Oh man, I don't think it's gonna change. I don't," and they kind of just give up on it altogether.
Mm,
And that's sad. That's like, oh man, my heart hurts for that because I get the pain that you're going through. I get it. You're seeing so much history, 250 years of like, not doing things for the people and stuff like that. Maybe just different ways that you could be looking at it and like, man, they're terrorizing my local community. So I can't vote for them. I can't support anybody. Picking the lesser of two evils. That's not what I want to do.
no.
I really want to be a part of a community that's really work, all those things, but I just give up on it. That's what happens with
Yeah,
people.
totally.
But I'm sorry, brother, sister. I understand how you're feeling. You need somebody inside to do it. It is an internal job, just like everything in our own lives. It's an internal job. I was at a anti-peace or anti-war, anti-peace. I was at an anti-war protest, and oh, I thought my sign. Oh, I think my sign's in my closet. My sign at the anti-war protest said, "Leave them alone. Focus on us." Okay. And then this was the anti-war protest from the recent Iranian government things that are happening,
Mm,
and America and Israel's involvement in those things. So there were, missiles launched and attacked, and the yeah, the government is attacked, but because the government is terrorizing their citizens as well. And so I went to this anti-war protest and the Islamic regime rather. And so I went to this anti-war protest and went with my campaign manager. She made me the sign. That's what I wanted the words to say. Leave them alone. Focus on us because it's an internal job. And I went
mm.
there and I did not know that it was going to be divided. I didn't know there was going to be two
Ah,
sides of a fence at this protest. And I was like, wow, I thought it was just going to be anti-war, like peace and hippies. And I'm down. Like I don't want war. I don't want people to die. I don't want children to die. And then I look over and they have a lot of like no more peace, like or no more war, like don't fund war, things like that.
mhm.
I agree. And then I look over on the other side, all Iranians, and they're saying thank you. And they're saying 64,000 people massacred in 2 days by the Islamic regime in our government. And they've been terrorized internally for 50 years. Not just some bad presidential administration for for one term or two term, whatever. They've been terrorized for 50 years. And then I'm seeing this divide and I'm like, the real problem here is the divide. It's the emptiness in
Yes,
between these two sides. So
yes,
can we just come together? Can we just have a conversation? I'd be happy to facilitate this conversation. I'd be happy to be the mediator between debating and dialoguing sides. I love this book I have in my library here called The Little Book of Dialogue.
Hmm.
It's like having tough conversations, you know, and it will be a tough conversation, but let's have a conversation. Let's be open to learning about each other. Openness to experience is a personality quality of high intelligence. So let's be open to experience. I went over to both sides. I
Yeah.
saw like near physical aggression. You can I did a video about this on my Instagram. But so Gray for San Jose is the Instagram profile that's posted on, and so I went to both sides and spoke to both sides. I learned a lot about Iranians, about the country of Iran. And that was the people opposing the anti-war people. And I go
Yeah.
over to the anti-war people, and there's no Iranians, and there's no American flags. And that convolutes the message because America is still a wonderful nation. And anybody that lives in any country, anywhere in the world, if I live in Brazil, I need to have some Brazilian pride. Let me honor where I live, you know? Well, let me honor my nation that birthed me, that raised me. That goes back to that full acceptance of self. No matter what is happening, the chaos and things that I've been through in my life, I love myself, and it was all for the good of the plot. You know, all for the good of the hero's journey. It's all for the plot. I do a lot of
Yeah.
hard things in my life for the plot. This run for city council might just be one of those things, one of those difficult things. I get in or I don't, and it was all for the plot. You know, it's all
Yeah.
about the hero's journey, and God, bless me and continue to favor and move the universe in my favor would be amazing, is amazing. And so I'm talking to both sides. The people on the Iranian side, some of them were thanking Trump, and some of
Hmm.
them were saying that I don't like Trump at all. But the logic of what they did here was good because they've been massacred for 50 years over all the time. 2 days recently, 64,000, that kind of thing. And then I go over to the other side, and some of them were saying, "Oh, there's like there's like conspiracy also involved in that." And you have to like you have to be able to like see what that is and do your own discerning critical thinking on the logic of the those
Yes.
kind of conspiracies. Maybe some of it's true. It turns out that a lot of those things are true. But let's also be grounded in some like logic, discernment, and critical thinking for ourselves. And so then go over to the other side, and they're saying, well, we don't want our tax dollars to be funding nuclear warfare or get us into a war that then has to, that costs billions of dollars. That's not where we want our money spent. I agree.
Yeah.
Uh, I agree. So, this administration in America, it had changed the Department of Defense, which is kind of one side, to the Department of War, which is the radical other side.
Oh yeah.
Can we just be like the Department of Protection? Can we
Oh,
just
yes.
protect
Defense.
ourselves, protect people where we can? But can we focus, can we turn things around to focus internally? There's a lot that we need to do right here in this nation. Let's focus on ourselves. So there's this shadow expression of people, of government, of these things that are happening. And I could go into like a whole nother spiel on that. But
Oof.
let's focus internally. Let's not get involved in things that shouldn't involve us. But let's also, save innocent lives. There might be casualties along that. Let's try to mitigate any children dying. We don't have to attack a school. We don't have to like there. I don't know where their military bases are situated. I'm not leading the Department of War here in America, but we got to figure this thing out. We got to think holistically.
Yeah. Yeah. It's uh, to me the schism that you're talking about the at that thing. Now I wasn't there, so I don't have the same knowledge as you of what was going on.
Yep.
But really, that's to me evocative of a society who doesn't trust itself and isn't willing to stay in those holistic places. It can only be one thing or another. But our wholeness is never that. It's not we're all good, we're all bad. It's not that every politician is good, every politician is bad. It's none of that. There's a messy middle in there, and it
Yeah.
can be a beautiful messy middle. But the storylines are so fractured that it feels like it's everything's always in opposition. So it's almost like you've a weird analogy, but somebody who's got an addiction and they're using the addiction to fight something else, but they're constantly struggling with themselves because they don't want to do the addiction, but they can't face the thing that they're avoiding. It's kind of in that sort of zone where these two parts of this big society just aren't willing to look at one another. And what you're doing, having those conversations, did you feel you was it you just getting information, or were there some people there that were like, oh, okay, I can see a different side?
That's what I tried to transmit to people on both sides is that I would often say, you know, hey, I'm hearing and looking at signs, and I agree with that sign. I think we over here agree with this sign. And then I'd go over here. I was like, oh, look at that sign. No war. Like I agree with that sign. I think we over here agree with the sign. So and then you hear like these these protesters of the microphone and big loud speakers, and they're yelling and screaming into the microphone. But some of the things that they're screaming, a little obnoxious, but some of the things that they're screaming is still good things. Like we don't want to fund war. I agree.
Yeah,
I think you would agree.
yeah,
And so that's what I tried to transmit to both sides of the conversation was that there is agreement on both sides. And it's clear. They're holding up the sign that says it. It could not be any more obvious. Maybe you need to hear it straight from their mouths, but it couldn't be any more obvious. And so there's agreement on both sides. That's what I tried to do, with the people. I don't want to say that I was doing it for anybody, but I was
no,
doing it with the people. I was trying to bridge that gap, make those connections. But I did myself, and that's a beautiful thing about living in this way, practicing in this way, being in the public sphere in this way is that I get to learn a lot and I relish in it. I'm powered by it. I feel it feels good. I have a great time. They're like because some of it is the political games and stuff, and I have a great time with that. There was early. I'm still early. I'm filing my nomination papers today, so I've gotten all the signatures that I need from the local community. You needed 50 signatures. I have 60, so all of my paperwork is going to get filed today. And already, before even filing, already I had this political espionage in my in
really.
my social media profiles, on my YouTube channel, like all over, and it was hilarious. And I'm just gonna keep laughing at these things. You are not going to scare me. I I
Yeah,
I have nothing to lose. I I don't have fear. And we need that kind of leadership. I think
yes,
when I say that kind of thing, I'm not just trying to speak. I'm not it's not my intention to speak from an ego place. We are distinct and not separate. I'm
mm,
distinct. I have my own uniqueness, but I try to how can I step outside of myself, think objectively, empathic awareness, and what kind of person should, from my opinion, what should one want in a leadership role?
yeah.
And I fit the bill. I fit the bill. So then these guys. So I'm not gonna be afraid of these guys. And they're like one of them is like maybe I don't know how many details I should share, but like it's on my Instagram. I shared these videos. Um, I just don't want to badmouth any other candidate or nothing like that. It's
Well, you don't
just
have to
it's
say their
funny
names.
that
Just say what happened. You don't
yeah.
have
I
to
mean
mention the
it's
people.
yeah. So it's like but it kind of strips the funniness out of it.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
but But two of them, I'll say, the real funny one is on my Instagram, so you can go check that out. Gray for San Jose, but the two of them that is not as humorous, I guess. Damn, I should have said all that maybe too. Whatever. Um, and one of them was like an Instagram with no posts, and is watching my story, and it was a new Instagram. Okay, it was
Yeah.
just for the politics. It started February 11th, just like I did in the race. And but before pre-nomination papers, and this guy was the first person to watch my story, first person to see my post, first person to to be there. And I message him. Anybody that connects with me, I say, "Oh, how'd you find out about me? Do you live in the district? I'd love to get your that kind of thing." So I'm reaching out to the people, and they, and what are your concerns? What do you value about what tell me why San Jose is important to you, that kind of things. I'm actually curious. I actually want to know. And I sent this guy messages. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" Like sending him these inquiry messages, no answer, no response. Later on, I saw that he's supporting Mayor Matt Mahan. And I don't have any major qualms against Matt Mahan. Other people have told me some things that maybe I should look into, and not conspiracy wise, but like the way that he's approached certain policies. I don't know if I would agree with them exactly, but I don't have any major qualms with the man. I hardly know him, so I don't have any major qualms with him. And I saw that this person supported Matt Mahan. I was like, "Oh, hey, I really, I noticed the support that you gave Matt Mahan, and thumbs up for that. Like, great job on the support." Didn't reply to me still. And then I like looked into like his bio links and stuff like that, and he's a part of this organization that is a it's like a political, it might as well be a political espionage organization that is so I'm not naming the organization just in case or whatever. I ain't afraid though. But it's just like the organization is like their marketing is that they are ensuring your win as a candidate. They're like, we will like they're promising your
We'll
win
make
kind
sure
of.
you win.
We will make sure you win. And it seems like they'll do it. They will break any line to make sure that you win. That's how it really felt. So that
Yeah.
was one guy. This other guy was like a top secret political informant in his. It was like, what are you doing? He commented on that funny one, and I have another post that I'll post that I was like laughing at his comment. But he commented because it was on my birthday that I'm doing this. I'm walking past City Hall to downtown to just like hang out, to be a human. And I'm chewing gum. I had just put gum in. I'm chewing gum. It's my birthday. Just like relax. But he saw a little bit of gum. You barely see me chew gum, like in the video of me talking, speaking. And that was the only comment he had was maybe get that piece of gum out of your mouth while you're speaking or something like that. It was like, and I looked at this guy. He's a family man. He's the singer of a band. I would resonate with him probably. We would probably get along. We'd probably be friends. So
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing with your life, bro. It's funny.
Uh, the political world is an interesting one. I don't think I'm cut out for the cut and thrust of it because it just those sort of games. I love playing games, but not those sort of games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Uh,
appreciate your willingness to go there because
yeah.
to me that's not an easy space to be in. Like when I speak, I want to hear people's truths. And in
Hmm.
politics, how often do you really hear people's absolute truth? It's all games, it's all play, it's all posturing and positioning.
Yeah.
So if
Well,
if
I
you're, I
get to
was
Sorry,
going to say
I get to live in my integrity knowing that I am coming from truth, and and
mm,
and, and like it's it is games, it's social games. I'm a psychologist, so I love, the human behavior and
Yeah.
this is what I do anyway. So if they're lying and stuff, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter so much if they're not telling me the truth or something like that. Like a hypothetical situation. They're not telling me the truth. They're lying to me. But
Mm.
as long as I'm using my critical thinking, discernment, association, observation from that holistic leadership bend that I possess, that I come with, that I approach public policy with, I'm just going to continue to align with those things, those decisions, in matching what the people want. Because I am a therapist, I want to hear people. I like to listen to stories and those things. Like I want to hear what's on people's heart, those truths, and then make that educated decision on what would serve actualizing real potential culture and policies that work for everyone. Let's create a world that is working for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to see political decisions made as who the decision that gets taken is the one that benefits the most people the most is should be the
Sure,
decision that gets taken. Um,
absolutely.
you've mentioned this a couple of times, and I'm asking this purely because this is a big topic of interest for me, and it's kind of where my
Yep,
professional direction is headed. You mentioned about critical thinking and discernment and
yep,
all of these other characteristics. I get the feeling and the sense that they are not as prevalent in today's youth as they might have been.
yep.
How, and I can say that for some older generations as well, I certainly see that that's not always there. But how can we promote that in society so that we can all make those decisions? Like, because you're coming at things from a very grounded point of view, and you are about assessing, making your own choices for yourself. To me, I think that's one of the most important things that we can do as a human is to make our own assessments and not just take stuff from everywhere and assume it's all right.
Yeah.
So I know this is a weird question. You may not have thought about it in this sense, but can you see some really great and powerful ways that we can add that kind of learning, uh, add that learning into our kids and our young adults so that
Yeah.
they can really start embracing themselves more at that level?
Yeah. I'm really interested in like early intervention kind of programs. This is things that I've been involved in as a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I have thought about these ideas a lot. All of my students are graduate students, so they're at master's degree level, but they're coming into a master's degree level sometimes in the United States for the first time in their lives, and they're early, and the English is their second language. So there's other like adjustments that they're making in terms of like how they are, what level of academia they're submitting their work in and stuff like that. So they're trying to figure that out as well, but very smart students and they're at the right level. And so I tell them no matter what the content of the course is, my teaching style is that I try to give them life skills and things that will be great transmission for any other course that they are involved in. I really try to think about like you just want to be successful in this program as a whole, not just one good grade in this one class.
Yes.
You want to build your scholarship, your studentship, your scholarship, your
Mm-hmm.
in this academic trajectory that you're on. You want to build on those skills. So I think about that a lot. I teach the students a lot. So I say those same things that I just said. Three things I tell them. I always work in threes: the body, mind, soul thing. I try to keep my framework um, in alignment with this trifecta thing, this trinity thing.
Mm.
There's also a duality thing. Sometimes I'm trying to wrap together and bridge together, but and that's like the black, white, and the gray. And then that's kind of the third thing as well. But the three things are critical thinking, number one. Number one,
Mm.
critical thinking. Um, association, your ability to like so critical thinking, being able to think for yourself independently, step back away from what you're reading, from the information that you're absorbing, all of this like uh it is resource intensive to receive all of this data, all of this stimulus. So
Yes.
step back from that information diet of a very unhealthy information diet. Step back from that and like, what is real here? Can I navigate the information landscape to find out what is real here? Like many of the things that I said about like I mentioned the conspiracy thing. Like, can we just have like an openness to experience on a big five personality model? Openness to experience is a key indicator of high intelligence. So
Yep.
opening our experiences is really important. So that's a part of how we can be critical thinkers as well. So then we step back, independent, like think for myself. Association is like, do I see the relationships between two things? Do I see the relationship, fundamentally, maybe the microcosm and the macrocosm, the relationship between polarities and just relationality between different things. Do I see where I'm implementing this public policy and it's affecting these neighbors, that interconnected
Mm.
sensibility? Do I
Yeah.
see where if I build these houses but it's at an 80% AMI median income, it's at an 80% of AMI for the local Bay Area that includes billionaires and millionaires, that astronomically puts that median. It's not an average, it's a median. It's the middle. It finds the middle. And so, that median piece, the AMI, 80% of the AMI is not that's over $100,000 for a six-figure earner. It's still so much of their paycheck. It's still
Yeah.
so much of even their living expenses. So do I see those associations? Do I see those relationships when public policy is being implemented, or the associations with the future and the past? And if I'm going to do this thing now, and it's going to take 100 years for that investment to even out, for it to break even,
Mm.
well, I need to think about that. I need to really
Yeah.
consider revising that maybe. And then observation. Am I just observant? Do I see details? Do I Can I just observe and be a good listener, a good receiver,
Yeah.
a good, do I have sharp eyes, good ears? I love this piece of wisdom. Um, the words of wisdom are heard by the ears of understanding. The
Ooh.
words of wisdom are heard by the ears of understanding. So sometimes we don't have good, clean, maybe take the Q-tip and clean your ears out. And that information goes in one ear and out the other because we're
Yes.
not ready for it, maybe.
Yeah.
Sometimes the people are not ready for it. I have a great story example of that sort of thing, but critical thinking, association, and observation. So
Yeah.
those three things. Now, in this like, very mucky information diet, it is stripping our critical thinking. It's stripping more of our attention than
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
Our attention is the biggest victim to this, and then we're all victims to it. But then the critical thinking so that might be your ability to associate and observe. is all both of those are connected to all of it could be connected to attention, but like how long can you sit with the information? Like
Mm,
you want to be quick and efficient with your decision making, but like can you sit with this information? And
yes.
then the critical thinking is being stripped down because people aren't thinking for themselves. They're using chat GBT brains and stuff like that. And there's a way to use that as a tool with your critical thinking, but most people are copying and pasting. Millions of people are copy and pasting, and we're still early in large language model implementation. We're still
Yes.
we're still so early. So this is coming down the pipeline. It's going to destroy the job market and things like that. But we need to up those things: critical thinking, observation, association. If we can up those things, those qualities in ourselves, then we can find the skill sets that would align with each of our individual selves most, and then
Mm,
take those skill sets and be more valuable in that job market, create more innovative places where we can bring value to the market instead of kind of just like the government kind of giving up on it. We can't just give up on it because this new tool and technology is going. We need to find the solutions to the cons. I love meditation and mindfulness, and I think
mm,
that that needs to be implemented into every school system around the world.
yeah.
I think the way that they manage the time period, like time periods, the class period is 1 hour. I think it should be 90 minutes of focused work with a 20-minute in between. So like 10, 20 minutes, something like that, like a sprint, like because it's an exercise.
Yeah.
You're going to school to exercise your brain. So you're gonna exercise it. So 90 minutes, and then like I just think that there's ways that we can experiment with the effectiveness of our like our time scales and the ways that the ways that we are putting together the schedule of a school day that can help
Yeah.
those kids. Just that can help those kids, and then that'll help hopefully bring some attention. But also a part of that time management is going to be a seated silence, nothing for 5 minutes, a meditation 5 minutes at the beginning, at the end of every 90-minute hard session. You know, that
Yep.
sort of thing is gonna it's gonna have a compound interest on innovation and attention span. The the psychiatric market that makes billions of dollars off of ADHD medication, undiagnosed ADHD in adults because of social media addictions, those kinds of things, the ways that we are, being managers, authors of time, masters of time, that'll be a way to bring attention and critical thinking, all of those things. So I think I hit that
Yeah.
pretty strong.
Yeah. I love that. Especially, I think you're right because to me it makes sense. I don't know the part on how long the time period should be for each lesson. That part I'll defer to you for now. But that moment where you get to just sit with what you've done for a little while, meditation in whatever form, because not everybody finds meditation easy, but there's something around a meditation of some sort that can work for most people.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
Yeah.
that moment where you can just stop and just
Yep.
be and bring everything back, and it's like a reset. But yeah, if you're trained to do that continuously, the power of that for your attention would be through the roof,
Yeah.
and that would be
It's
such an easy
rest.
change to make.
Yeah, it's a period of rest so that you can digest those things. Right now, it's 5 minutes. It's one
To
hour
get to
of
the next
one thing,
class.
5 minutes, and it's only the amount of time that I have to get to the next class
Yeah,
that I have that, and then I'm into a new thing. but you need a pause, you need a digestion. Usually that's best used with like exercise, like a movement of your body,
Mm,
walking or whatever. Out in nature is a great thing to do. So those kinds of things are going to help that mental digestion process. I had a great teacher on my podcast before. His name is Jorge Ferrer, and I really admire this gentleman. Maybe not everybody does, but I think he has a lot of charisma. I think he's really an intelligent person. I like him a lot, and we connect a lot as friends. And he in the podcast I asked him like what kind of skills, or what would you tell a student? Like how do we help these students? I asked him that sort of question. And he highlighted gestation periods. You need a
okay.
gestation period. So you can't go back to 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 back and expect to know any of that. When I was describing my class, I mentioned like, oh, teaching them life skills and things, because oftentimes you go to that class, you take that class, you learn some stuff. It plants itself in you somewhere. You just don't know where, and you don't know
Mm,
how to find it. Maybe a part of that is because there isn't a quality gestation period. Maybe there's
mm,
not enough digestion of that process for it to get to a place where you can get back in your brain, navigate your mental landscape, and find the place where you put that. So it's hard to find because you didn't give your body and mind a time to organize it into a place. But you often leave those classes, graduate classes, whatever, and I couldn't tell you what I learned in my whatever class 10 years ago. I couldn't tell you what I
oh
learned in
no.
that class. Sometimes I can't even tell you the name of the teacher. Sometimes I
Yeah.
can. If I can remember the name of the teacher, it had a really deep impact that was probably unconscious mostly,
Yeah.
and that impact is serving my life, and that's what I really appreciate about it, and it was worth every dollar that I spent on it then. If I
Yes.
don't even remember the name of the teacher, I don't remember the name. Like
It was like,
I always define the classes. I was like, well, here's the name of the class. Let's break down these words. Let's try to figure out what this actually means to us. That way, when they go back to look at their transcript, they can be like, oh. I'm looking at the title of that class because that's all you have. On your transcript, you just have a bunch of titles of classes. Sometimes maybe a little bit of a description you could find in the course catalog or something. Sometimes it's too old and they're gone. It's not even in the course
yes.
catalog anymore. They've revised all the classes. If you took the class today, 10 years ago, it'd be a so different class.
Yes.
Oh, well, I need my students to be able to take a look at that class, that course name, and like, oh, yeah, this is kind of the skill sets that I can associate with things that I'm capable of doing. And so these are the kinds of things that I learned in that class. This is what is going to apply to this job market.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I'm wondering if it's not something I'd thought about as having the pause there, but that makes a whole lot of sense to digest. But I think maybe even to round that off more, depending on the subject and what's being taught and how it's being taught, is time to enact it, time to practice it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think it needs to be all of that
Yep.
because, like, we learn something, we need to digest it, understand it, kind of put it into ourselves in a way that makes sense. And then we need to trial it. We need to be able to
Yep.
exercise to see if what we've kind of settled into, all the beliefs that we have created around it, actually hold up. And then
Yep.
you go back and get more information, and then you do the cycle. It's like a mastery cycle of sorts.
Yep. Yep. The
So
learning and application. You're
yeah,
right. We need to have course time. A math class has a lot of that. A
yes, it
math
does.
class, but other classes don't have as much of that. I had a good time in a lot of English classes.
Hmm.
I always did really well in English classes. I remember in my community college, the I remember this. I had this class in community college. It was English, and there were all these like baseball athletes from the community college, and it was like a pretty athletic performing community college. And my teacher was upset to no end about the baseball people because they were late, they're not really doing their homework, they weren't really doing the English class, and she was a
Yeah.
passionate English teacher. She loved me. So
Okay.
she loved me and scored me highly and appreciated my writing and my effort at minimum. And the the writing for that class, like that is the application of an English class. But oftentimes those English classes are they're telling you some rules. You're getting this course learning component, and then they ship you off.
Yeah.
Now you go away and try to carve out some time to do your homework and write, and then come back. But
Yeah.
if you haven't been, managing your time well, or you don't know how to manage your time well, you don't know the value of the lessons. If you don't know the value of what you're learning, kids are always asking why, and adults are often not giving them why. They're not giving them a why. And they need a why because
Yes.
it needs to find a place that why is their brains trying to find a place to organize the information. They're brand new to the world. They need the why. And and then so that 90-minute kind of model, it could be 60 minutes of lesson or 45 minutes of lesson. I would prefer the 60 minutes of lesson, 30 minutes of application. Like
Yeah.
let's be here and do the homework with you. Maybe we don't even call it homework because when you get home, that should be a rest period. You
Yeah.
should be drained from working hard in the class at school for what school is for. And when you go home, it should be an opportunity to relax, be creative as a kid, as in your
Yeah.
youth. Um, that's important. And so you can build that into more courses in a more functional way. Math, it does it a lot because of the
Yeah.
problems and stuff, the algorithms and things that you're applying, and in like a social studies. I like a history class. How am I applying that to my life? They so often that kind of thing is missing from a course like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the application that you're highlighting there is really important. And then the gestation is really important too. The why is really important so that you can have the time to organize this information and understand how it's actually applied in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I had a thought, but no, it's gone. See, I told you my brain was a bit weird today. It's like
It's okay.
all over the place. Um,
It's okay. It's been about 2 hours,
yeah.
11 o'clock. I have another meeting to go to and other things to do today. So I feel
Cool.
really good about the conversation. It was two
Me too.
hours and thank you so much. You had really good questions. I especially think that question about the question about how I got language, how I received language, like maybe I learned some of that from my mother. That was something that I hadn't been asked before, and I thought that it was really good. And I would just like for your viewers to check out my podcast, Gray Transforms. I have a variety of social media channels. So Instagram is Gray, Gray. Gray. T, a T at the end. Great. PhD is my personal Instagram. Gray Transforms, Gray Transforms is the Instagram for the podcast. That's also the name of the podcast. You can find that on YouTube and Spotify and all of those places. You can reach out to me in those ways. Gray for San Jose is the newest thing. And that could transform. I've already thought about ways that would transform along the trajectory as I enter politics and public policy and things. So you can go ahead and follow that and engage with those things if that's of interest to you. It might not be of interest to everybody, but that will be a place for a lot of these holistic leadership application ideas and examples of where that is happening in the real world, in my life, and how I'm leading the charge for some of those things in my community.
Awesome. And if nobody quite caught the link that they're after, they'll all be down below in the messaging, so they're easy to get hold of.
Perfect.
I'm going to leave you with one final question, which is a very simple, silly one.
Yep.
Of all the people on the planet that are alive today, who would you most want to talk to one on one and why?
Who would I most want to talk to one on one and why? Of all the people that are alive today.
Alive, yeah.
They must be alive. I asked a question like this for my professional community in transpersonal psychology because we're putting together that World Congress of Transpersonal Psychology, and I asked them who would you want to see present, and a lot of them listed dead people. I was like, well, let's try to
Let's make it possible.
I'm not a miracle worker here. Let's do our best. I'm not Jesus, and
Either that or you're
so.
going to have a Ouija board.
Yeah, a Ouija board. That might be something. We might implement that. Um, yeah. So, who would I want to speak to that is alive today? Um, I there are names that are coming to mind, and I'm just wondering, talking to those people, how does it move humanity forward? How does it inform me that moves my life forward? I'm not so sure that those names are are that person to do that, but it could be so many people for a variety of reasons. I think that yeah, I mean, as as lame as this might sound to some people, I would want to speak to Joe Rogan.
Hmm.
He's the first best podcaster in the world. He's spoken to a lot of different people. We have a lot of common interests. UFC. I feel like he would be a good hang. He's a comedian. And he's a very intelligent person. He has a lot of perspectives and things like that. Some people are gonna hear that and they have judgments and stuff of him, and maybe then they associate those judgments with me or something like that. But this is a man of great influence, and he is kind of humble about that great influence. He doesn't he shows a lot of humility about that, and so I would want to speak to him for sure. That would be that'd be ideal. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. It's not the first time I've had him come up as an answer, but
I
for anybody
know that's
listening,
why I didn't. That's why it's like Joe Rogan, the Dalai Lama. Is that what you want me to say?
no, no,
Like the Dalai
it's not
Lama.
about what
I
I
don't
want.
know.
It's got
No,
nothing to
no,
do
I
with
know.
me.
I'm not you, but like when people see this and they're like, oh, Joe Rogan again, of course. Oh, this guy's about to say Joe Rogan. It's like, what do you want me to say? The Dalai Lama. Like I would love to have an open conversation with Donald Trump. I would love for him
Hmm.
to hear me. I would love, he's the leader of America right now. I would love for him to hear me and for us to hear each other and have a
Hmm.
good conversation about what this world needs, and for him to be receptive to that. I can't I can't force anybody to be receptive.
No.
I can't promise that he would be receptive to me. But I would love to have a conversation with him about his logic, his ideas, and things like that. That would be great. I have a
Yeah.
podcast, so there's a lot of people I would love to continue to have conversations with too. So and that's why you're in this, right? That's why you're in the
That
podcasting.
I'm here for the conversations, absolutely. But if anybody
Right.
knows either DJ Trump or or Joe Rogan, then get in contact, make it happen. That's how we work here. We want
Yeah.
connections. So if anybody knows anybody, make it happen. Um,
I'm in public policy right now, so those conversations we need to be having for sure.
Absolutely. Dr. Travis, thank
Yeah.
you very, very much for your time.
Yep.
It's
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure, and I have a feeling we could talk about 100 different topics till the end of the days, but
Yeah.
thank you very, very much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.